Hello again, kind viewer person, and welcome back to another episode of The Gear Locker. This rifle that's on the table right in front of me is not the subject of today's video. However, the equipment that supports this rifle is. So let's get this out of the way and bring in the real deal, my plate carrier. This is the PC18, developed in Finland by my favorite brand, Sarma. It's a very nice rig. It comes with lots of cool little bells and whistles, but it's also very simple in a way too. There is no fast attachment system or anything like that. Nothing fancy. It's all pretty basic and pretty rugged and just about what I think I would need for a system like this. But the carrier itself is not quite the subject either. I'm gonna be upgrading a couple pouches that I have on this. In my belt video, I mentioned that I was using primarily Miltech pouches. That is partially true for this. On the front here, I have a pistol magazine pouch and a rifle magazine pouch, and then a administrative pouch where I store goodies of various kinds. Now, a lot of people would favor more rifle magazines than anything, and there's a lot of reasons for that. However, I opt for sort of a synergistic system between my belt and my carrier here for the magazine distribution. But I do want to experiment with all rifle on the chest and all pistol on the belt. But for now, I'm just going to keep my general setup, because sometimes I shoot only with this and sometimes I shoot only with the belt. So I don't like switching things around a lot, as simple as it may be. But the actual topic of today is not fundamental discussions of the philosophies of what makes a good setup, but rather taking off this Miltech magazine pouch and replacing it with a Baribal one, which we can see here. The pistol pouch that is covered in talcum powder is a Baribal. My admin pouch is also a Baribal. The Miltech pouch remains because at the time of purchasing, the open top Baribal pouches completely went extinct on the internet, at least through websites that use US dollars as currency. Baribal's website is really cool looking, but it's in another language. So there's that. So for those uninitiated, all of these accessories attach using the PALS system. Now, PALS itself stands for Pouch Attachment Ladder System. And what that means is all up and down this gear, there is a ladder system of these strips of webbing that are sewn or laser cut in some cases into the equipment itself. Now, on the other end, you have these straps of webbing that dangle from the pouch that you're trying to attach. And those interface with these strips of webbing that create a very tight and very durable attachment system. It's simple, it's easy, and it's universal. Now, a lot of companies, as I explained with the belt system, have their own weird, slight differences between these, but it's still a standardized system. And that's the reason why almost every piece of equipment in the world can be found in it. When you're a regular person and someone says Molly or they say PALS, you know what they mean. You don't have to split hairs to tell them what this webbing is versus this webbing. Whatever. So let's just call it PALS. Let's just call it Molly. Let's not argue. So without further ado, let's get in here and I will show you the process of removing one and putting another on. There's also another piece of kit that I'm going to add onto this, which is a radio / general purpose pouch here. And that's going to go on this PALS webbing, which is along the side of the muffin top strap. So this is it. This particular pouch has these snapped MOLLE strips, which I find to be a little annoying for various reasons, but they're also kind of cool for other reasons, so basically you get what you get. The way that I've had to set this up, though, is as such. I had difficulty weaving these through the back of the pouch itself because the way that the shock cord is woven, basically using the PALS on the back. So I've only attached it through the first ladder or the first strip and then bypassed where I'm supposed to weave it through here and then through the second strip, and it just goes through both of them straight. So basically it still holds it on there, but it does have some play in it. A more secure method of doing it would be to actually weave them as intended, basically like you're sewing, like under one and then under the other one and then under another one, and it creates an extremely strong and immovable object. But it's as simple as pushing this out to remove, and this is why the snaps can be a little annoying because they get snagged, but that's it. So this is out, and one of the reasons I wanted it out is this. Now, I've already had problems with this on my belt, even with the included, which I've taken off of this, but included with these ones. Any of these open top pouches, I'm pretty sure will come with optional shock cord as a secure over the top. But the Miltech one, as I think I pointed out in the belt video, is pretty loose and does not retain magazines very well. It's definitely not AK magazines. These are a little bit better because it is a more form-fit size. And you can tighten the retention by pulling on this and tightening it down even more. And you can see that makes it a lot sturdier. But let me show you the insides of this a little bit more thoroughly. Now, it's gonna be really hard to see. We'll try to get that to focus in on that. You can see that there is no real retentive material in here, but there are Velcro pieces. Now, I believe what those Velcro pieces are intended is to attach an insert into this that would make it more retentive, a grippier material. But in the Baribal pouch, which when you put them side to side, the Miltech one is a lot bigger in a profile than the Baribal one. But that leads to this being less retentive by virtue of it having less material gripping the magazine. But where they get me on this is that the inside of the Baribal pouch is this really nice rubbery grippy material. I don't know why I call it this, but for some reason I picked up the term shark skin for this, and that could be an industry term. It could represent something entirely different, but it feels leathery and grippy. So even with less material on the top of this pouch, it is just a lot grippier on the magazine. It might look like it, but I'm not overstating how grippy it is. It actually does retain really well. That and the smaller form factor, like it's about the same size as the pistol magazine as far as the height goes. So it kind of clears up just a little bit of space. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to use that space, but part of the fun of this is trying out different things and hoping to get to, like, maybe I could put it lower. I could lower both of these and have more room up here for the magazines to stick out, or I could raise them and have the magazines up in my chin space, but then I could put another bag down. I have no idea. That's part of the fun. So I'm going to put it in the same position that the other one was. First of all, this is another method of these, the webbing, the MOLLE webbing, is that they, instead of having the snaps like this example, these will thread through. This one actually uses the same thing. They thread through the whole system and then back up into themselves. And this little tab is here for when you want to take them out, you pull to release it and then you can undo it. I like this because it's like a little less bulky and stuff, but sometimes when the standards for the pouch and the PALs are just slightly out of sync, it can be tricky getting this to do what you need it to do. Like for instance, with the admin pouch here, back to the attachment of this. So I'm gonna start making sure I'm facing the right way here. I'm gonna start by putting these through like this, and then I pull them tight, like so. And the next step would be to weave back through the pouch, which is again a little difficult because they've put the shock cord that I keep referring to for this affects the tightness of this pouch. And that's again adjustable by this toggle lock. This will go through the middle piece of PALs on the back of this, which is a little tight. And now that that one is through, I put this one through as well. And then voila. Now that this is fully weaved through the first ladder of the PALs, and then also begun to be weaved through the middle ladder of the PALs on the pouch. And then I'm gonna grab both of these and then just pull them through like this. The proper thing to do is to loop it back into itself on the pouch's last PAL's ladder. And this is the tricky part because you're bending stiff material very tightly through something. You know what? I think it might be easier if I stick a magazine in it. So there you have it. Now I have the little tabs, so yoink out when I want to detach it, and it is completely secure. Unlike the original one that I took off, unlike the Miltech one, I have weaved or woved whatever, every ladder from the pouch through every ladder on the placard, okay? So that means that this is gonna be a lot more secure. As I was saying, the difference between the way that they've attached their adjustment cord, the shock cord here, between the Miltech and the Baribal is that the toggle lock is on the front of the Baribal patch and it's on the inside, the back of the Miltech pouch. Did I say patch? I meant pouch. It's easier to get to the adjustment, which isn't something that you need to really do on the fly, but more importantly for the process that I just went through is that MOLLE strips can actually be used on the back of this pouch, whereas all of that gets in the way of using them on this one, which is the reason why I was only able to attach these through, don't get me wrong, enough to be secure enough to use the equipment, but not as secure as this now is. Makes a difference. On the other hand, the upgrade of this pouch here is that the grippy material that is used inside it is, I mean, not coming out. It's dragging all 12 pounds that the armor vest weighs to pull the magazine out. So this is good to go, in my opinion. So now I think instead of justifying and explaining why I have a pistol magazine on my plate carrier, I'm gonna jump right into installing this radio pouch on the plate carrier. So a little bit of thought and care does have to go into attaching accessories onto your cummerbund, because this is getting down into the territory where if you are using a belt along with the plate carrier, things that you are gonna add to the cummerbund are gonna start interfacing with things that are on your belt. So I have already gone through the process of figuring out where on the cummerbund I want this to be, because in theory, if this is going to be carrying a radio, I have to think about what purpose or what uses I have for a radio, how accessible I want it to be on my person, all of those kinds of things. I've chosen a spot for this and it doesn't have to be precise, so now is the time to just officially attach it. So I'm gonna clip this together so that it's not flopping around and getting in the way. You're going to slip the MOLLE webbing through these little pieces like this. You see? Your next step is to weave through the PAL strip on the back of the pouch. Tighten it down like so. You can see how in the top here, through the PAL strip, and then through the PAL strip on the pouch, like this. See? That really gives you a good visualizer of how this system works entirely. So just for that sake, I'm gonna do it backwards the rest of the way through, just to give you a real vivid picture. Does not seem long enough to interface through the final piece, which is kind of sucky. I can shove it in there, but it's not gonna stay. So I'm gonna have to play test with this to see how secure it actually feels, and if I need to supplement this in some other way. I feel like already I'm gonna have to, because just over time, this is gonna work its way through. I will now load our radio system of choice into the radio pouch. And look at that, it fits without even any adjustment necessarily. That is the reason why Walmart walkie-talkies are the industry standard for comms. This is in no way a tutorial or description or explanation about how you should set up your equipment, and it's not even really getting into the nitty-gritty about why I set my equipment up this way. This is just intended to show what some gear is and some ideas for how you can attach it to your stuff. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it was somewhat enjoyable and a little bit informative too. If you like this kind of stuff, please like the video, and if we get a subscription from the video too, I believe that the algorithm knows and it boosts the video or something. We really appreciate the patronage, and have a blessed day